All right, good morning. Welcome to the Rise and Grind Morning Show. Man, if you guys are interested in following your Detroit Lions all season long and some NFL news from around the league, you found the place. It's right here, Rise and Grind Morning Show. We'll be right back in 15, 20 seconds. Good morning, everybody.
Adam Schefter at ESPN says there's 275,000 people.
Well, that was some party in downtown Detroit. 775,000 people shattering the NFL draft attendance record.
This is the future. Evolution. This is the future. Evolution.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome into the Rise and Grind Morning Show. I know it's going to be a little bit of a light crew until we get rolling. I could have sworn that I put out a thumbnail last night, but I guess I didn't. Maybe I forgot to hit go. My bad. But anyway, we got a very loaded roster today. And again, it's doubtful that we're going to get through everything, but we're going to lead off with what happened in yesterday's practice for the Detroit Lions. We're going to dive right into NFL news and the NFC North report. Jalen Johnson out with an injury, apparently. Micah Parsons now suffering an injury, too. And then we heard from Alex Anzalone yesterday. He's highly disappointed, and now he's got an injury. So all three guys talking about money and now have injuries. Okay, we'll touch on all that. DJ Reed put out a little bit of a reminder of inspiration and what led him to being a 5'9" corner in this league and how he was able to get inspired and by whom. Eric's got the NFC North report locked down for us today, so we'll get to all four teams. And then Detroit Lions news, man, it's heavy. We got day 3 reminders and observations. Riley's got a couple of things in. Lee McNeil might be getting back sooner rather than later. And Jared Goff, is he really underrated? And then we've got some video news today going through what the players had spoke about after practice yesterday. So let's get everybody in. Let's get everything rolling. Good morning, gentlemen. How are we today?
Good morning. It's awesome.
Good morning. Yeah, it's great to be here. Rocked on Detroit Lions Rise and Grind Morning Show. Wednesday morning.
All right, so jam-packed news day.
Yes.
I mean, so much so this could be a 4-hour show, but it's not going to be.
Can I jam something in super quick?
Yes. Yeah, please do, because Eric's got a little bit of breaking news. It's kind of it's going to hit home here.
Okay, so a couple weeks ago, I was not able to attend the final game of the season for the Michigan Panthers, and my buddy Andrew Squara sent me this, the Jake Bates bobblehead, right? That was from the final game at Ford Field for the Michigan Panthers this last season. Well, yesterday, James Larson broke some major news for the UFL, and it is that major changes are coming to the UFL per multiple sources. The USFL markets in Michigan, Houston, Birmingham, and Memphis are all being relocated for the 2026 season. With plenty more changes to come, the UFL is blowing it up a bit this season. So what does this mean for the Michigan Panthers? Well, sources say the 4 new markets for these 4 teams will be Boise, Idaho, Columbus, Ohio, likely Orlando, Florida, and Louisville, Lexington, Kentucky. So what does that mean for your Michigan Panthers? Well, in my view, that probably means that they're moving to the closest one, right? So that would be Columbus, Ohio. Do you really want to root for the Columbus, Ohio Panthers? I don't. I think this may be the death knell. This might be the nail in the coffin for the UFL.
Yeah, this is not great news. We were just starting to really, take to the Panthers. We got credentialed last year to kind of cover them, or at least get our feet wet with media credentials. And we got Jake Bates from them. Like, look, it doesn't matter where they are in the country. Obviously, the Lions are still going to have eyes and ears on what's going on with these guys. But this was another team that allowed us to get football in Michigan a little bit early, right? Yep. And it's at Ford Field. I thought I heard you mention in that is this about money? Is this about finances?
I think so. In my opinion, Ford Field was too expensive to rent. So, and they had some issues during the playoffs. If you remember, the Michigan Panthers, they won the division and they had to go on the road in the playoffs. That makes zero sense, correct?
Well, yes and no. I guess it depends on how. I don't know the UFL structure. I really don't. I think it's different. It's different than any other structure out there. But
the only reason they had to go on the road was because Ford Field had a concert that day.
Oh, so that's the reason.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'd ask the the owners of Ford Field this: by you not having those games, are you able to fill those slots with something that's going to bring in money, or does that not matter?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, is the cost of having another football team in your stadium early in the season, and you get a look early, right? Is that worth it for you not to have them? But yeah, it kind of sucks. No longer the Michigan Panthers. I assume they're changing the name too.
Yeah, it could be anything. Who knows? And the thing that kind of stinks about it is the Michigan Panthers were number 3 in attendance. They averaged 11,000 fans per game in the seats.
I know that was a big part of it last year. When we were speaking with Seth a little bit, that he was going to try to get us some free tickets, which never happened. He was going to get us some tickets to hand out, excuse me, to try to boost butts and seats, right? To buy popcorn, buy $20 popcorn. It didn't happen, but the fact that they finished third, that's great. That's great for them.
Third in attendance and then second overall in the standings.
Yeah. So Riley, you didn't get a chance to obviously, see a Panthers game. I don't even know if you're a fan. Is there a team out that way?
No, although I think that from what I've read, one of the potential spots that they could be relocating would be out here in Idaho, so it'd be a lot closer. But I'm far more Michigan in my blood than I am Idaho anyway. And when I saw this last night, it got me thinking, because I know you guys were covering the team. And so I looked it up. I'm like, man, they went to the championship game, and just crazy that, they have a successful season, but it's still not enough, I guess, to keep them in town.
Yeah.
Well, that sucks. Yeah, it sucks, man. The Michigan Panthers no longer Michigan Panthers. So I guess it's just one less product that our buddies over at Pro Sports Zone don't have to carry next season. Would be Michigan Panthers gear, but you can at least still go to Michigan or Pro Sports Zone to get your Michigan gear. Michigan State Spartans, excuse me. We would never want to cross those two. All of your Lions gear, your Red Wings, your Pistons, and more, man. Wall-to-wall merchandise, the newest designs, always in stock at Pro Sports Zone. And, of course, it's at the lowest prices, man. Get in there and talk with John Yu. Tell him that you're a diehard Lions fan, that you watch the Rise and Grind Morning Show with Rockhound Detroit Lions, and see if you get yourself a little bit of a discount. 37700 6 Mile Road, Livonia, Michigan. Check them out today, man. You got to get in there while there's still plenty of stock available. All right, so let's kick off the biggest part. The leadoff was supposed to be today about practice coming to an end yesterday, practice coming to a halt at least. Dan Campbell was also on XM radio with, I believe, Pat Kerwan yesterday, and he was talking about the issue that was happening at practice. And there's a reason why he wants, and I said this yesterday in the chat, that Dan wants to hit. He wants everybody to come out and be amped up and ready to go, but then he has to shut it down because of rules, right? There's rules in play here. So the Detroit Lions practice came to a crashing halt on Tuesday. Thankfully, though, the players get a day of rest today, kind of let things cool down before they ramp back up on Thursday. But Tuesday really brought the chippiest practice so far. Players are still not, allowed to wear pads. They're really not allowed to hit or do anything. But an earlier hit in practice by Morris Norris on Isaac Tesla, the rookie, was the catalyst for Campbell stopping things. So it was a quick hook, if you will, once Norris laid out the receiver, Dominic Lovett, on the final 11 and on 11 play of practice. So Norris was hardly the only one who was involved or crossed the line yesterday. Safety Brian Branch, he kind of got up into Tim Patrick, deflecting a pass, colliding with him near the sideline, and he jarred that reception away. And then there was Brian Branch also got a little bit friendly with Amon-Ra St. Brown. So during the catch, you could see that there's some frustration on both sides. These guys want to hit, man. They want to get after it, but there's a reason why. And I would point everyone to, you go to page 179 of the collective bargaining agreement, and here's why it's pissing Dan off, I guess is what I'm going to say is, where did my link go that was at the top of the page?
I still see it.
Yep.
I don't see it.
Page
there we go. I got it. There we go. All right. So if you go to 177 of the training camp rules, between 177 and 120 and 179, it clearly lays out what the teams are allowed to do this early into training camp. Now, the rules are a little bit different for each team and when they start training camp. As we know, the Lions, one of the first to get rolling this year, or they were the first. And so that's why the definition of training camp for them is a little bit different. Let me see if I can get this up on the screen. And while I'm doing that, Eric, what was your, what are your comments about this from yesterday? Practice getting halted a few times and then Dan Campbell finally letting loose on these guys to knock it off.
Yeah, if you remember our conversation from the other day, Dan Campbell's Fight Club, Dan Campbell back in the day was approached by Bill Parcells, and Bill Parcells came up to him and said, "Hey, this practice is getting kind of stale. Go start a fight with somebody." And so on the next play, put somebody on their ass. So the very next play, it was one of his buddies. He's lining up against him, puts him on his butt, gives him an extra shove after the play, and all hell breaks loose, right? And Dan Campbell gets kicked out of practice, and the practice is so much better. And he's like, there, now we got some spice in this practice, So I'm wondering if this was maybe a little bit of Dan Campbell's Fight Club going on, but I doubt it. I think it's more likely they got a little too heated, a little too early. And this has happened to us before, where we lost some practices because we got a little too physical, a little too early on.
Yeah, so Riley, I'll get your comments in just a second. So last year we forfeited a practice because of contact. So contact when you're not supposed to have contact. Now I'm going to go through this boring collective bargaining agreement here for just a moment, but before I do that, Riley, what was your thought yesterday when you're hearing this stuff coming out of Allen Park?
Yeah, I right where Eric went, right? The Fight Club thing. And I saw a video the other day, and it reminded me of it. It was like a dad going into the room, telling the mom, "Hey, I'll handle it. Don't worry." Because the kid got in a fight at school. He's saying, "Hey, we raised you better than that." And then he kind of winks at him, and he's saying all the right stuff so that the mom in the other room can hear. And you kind of thought maybe Dan Campbell's doing the same kind of thing, like, guys, yelling at him, "We can't be doing this," but really he's winking at him because we know he likes that intensity. Obviously, it's got to be channeled, but yeah, it was. I kind of went, well, maybe they just got inspired by reading your Fight Club article, Coach. That's maybe what they drew some inspiration from here.
Yeah, so I did make a shirt the other day, and for whatever reason, my trademark-free, copyright-free, original shirts are not getting approved by this stupid spread shop. So that's why I need my own. I need my Shopify store back up and running, but I need my website up and running to be able to really do that the best way. So anyway, I did create a Dan Campbell Fight Club. I created a Detroit Fight Club. just to play on having a little bit of fun here with that article and the subsequent conversations that came out of that. And there was a couple of guys like Todd Haley that were interviewed. But let's go through the CBA for just a brief moment. I'm not going to read the entire thing, but I am going to go through a little bit of Article 23, preseason training camp. So right here in Section 1, the definition for purposes of this article is first-year players. I'm not going to bore you with that. I'm not going to bore you with room and board. First-year player per diem. I was saying this the other day where these guys make some good money. So it looks like as your first year, you're making $11.50 a day. No, I'm sorry. That was back in 2020. 2025 to 2026, these guys are making $2,000 a day for a first-year player per diem. 2 G's a day to show up to practice. I'd be motivated for $2,000 a day. But getting into the practice part of it, so there's a 5-day, what they call an acclimation period, which I probably could have made this look a little bit better, huh? Let me do that. Well, move it all to the left a little bit. There we go. Don't mind the screen moving around. There, we'll get it fixed. All right, so you have this 5-day acclimation period, which kind of outlines what these teams are allowed to do and not do, right? And it's things that we don't really talk about much. It's stuff that really doesn't matter to us a whole lot, but it does in the context of why is Dan Campbell stopping practice? So the 5-day acclimation period described in Section 7A and B below shall apply to players who report to preseason training camp or are on a club's roster. So let me skip down. The first day of the club's preseason practice, so Section 7 right here. The first day of the club's preseason training camp shall be limited to physical exams, meetings, and classroom instruction. That's what they did on Saturday. I believe it was Saturday or Sunday. That's what they did. They came in, they did their exactly what it says. Their exams, their meetings, their classroom stuff. And then on-field activities are limited to phase 1 type of conditioning, timing, and testing, except for all coaches are permitted on the field. No helmets or protective shirts are permitted. No footballs may be used. Dead ball activities only. No plays or walkthroughs are permitted. No individual player instruction or team drills are permitted. Nothing shall prohibit a club, though, from administering a conditioning test, provided that such test must be reasonable and appropriate to determine the player's ability to participate. Now, on days 2 through 5, this is where this matters for this segment. On days 2 through 5, no live contact, right here, no live contact shall be permitted. Now, players on the field, or players may be on the field no more than 3.5 hours. 2 on-field sessions are permitted as follows. You get 1 session maybe at full speed, which can be no longer than 2 hours. This session may include all customary practice activities at the coach's discretion. The other session on the same day may be for a maximum of the remaining 3.5 hour on-field time. So that'd be an hour and a half, right? Up to. They may not stay the entire time. And it's limited to only walkthrough instruction and drills and plays conducted at an acceptable walkthrough pace, i.e. Pro Bowl practice pace, as demonstrated in the video jointly approved by the parties, which I don't have the video. Their videos they're so 1980. On days 2 and 3, helmets and jointly approved protective shirts are permitted for the full speed practice. On days 4 and 5, helmets and jointly approved protective shirts, shells, and spiders are permitted for full speed practice. And as provided in Article 35, all players shall receive mandatory day off on the day following the completion of on-field acclimation period for players who are required to report to training camp for the mandatory reporting date for veteran players. So I think that's today, right? If that's the way I understand it. Now, following the day 5 of on-field acclimation period, there's 2-a-day practices that can be permitted, subject to the following rules: that players may be on the field for a total of no more than 4 hours per day. So I thought 2-a-days were gone, but they really just kind of reorganized it a little bit. Now, players may be on the field for a total of no more than 4 hours. Like I said, they can participate in no more than one padded practice per day. So the first half or the second half, however Dan Campbell wants to lay it out, they can wear pads for no more than 2.5 hours of on-field activities. But we're not at that point yet. So that is following day 5. We are literally on Thursday, which will be day 3 of full team activities. So these are the reasons that Dan Campbell is probably a little bit hot, at Morris Norris, which this is not his first time, right? This is not I think last year he was the one that was responsible for a major injury at camp. Wasn't it Shane? Or was that 2 years ago? Shane Zielstra.
Yeah, I would have been.
I think it was 2 years ago. Now I'm questioning when Morris Norris was even brought into the team.
I thought it was funny because the one article I read yesterday about this whole thing said Morris Norris was a rookie.
I don't think he's a rookie. Hold on.
He was on the team last year.
Hold on here. Morris Norris. He was a UDFA, was he not? Do you remember Riley?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
So I'm going to look up his PFF profile real quick and just take a look because memory is not the greatest some days. But it appears on here that his draft year was 2024. So he may not have been the one that was responsible for Shane Zielstra. Do we see it in the chat anywhere? It was Dorsey. That's who it was. It was Khalil Dorsey. Similar name. I was close. It was one of those guys. But he's not a first-time offender. I believe it was last season. He got in trouble for some of the same stuff, which I love it. I mean, I love the attitude, right? I love the energy. But Dan doesn't want to lose another practice. Then last year we had Jalen Reeves-Maben on the team, and I don't really think that had anything to do with us losing a practice. But, being the president of the NFLPA, I'm sure that he probably piped up and said something. Maybe he didn't. I don't know. I'm just speculating. So that's really it, man. That's the first segment. Now, Eric, walk us into what's happening around the league. Let's get into the NFC North news here for a moment.
All right. So did you want to start with the Micah Parsons thing?
Yeah, that should be the next one on the list, I believe.
Okay. So is Micah Parsons now faking an injury at Cowboys camp? And is this similar to Alex Anzalone? Micah Parsons has back tightness to start a hold-in at training camp.
I love it. Back tightness, one of those things that doesn't show up on MRIs, CT scans, or x-rays. I love it.
Yeah. So I'm going to read a little bit about this article. And it says, after a long offseason, the Dallas Cowboys finally kicked off training camp with their first practice on Tuesday. Surprisingly, even though he's headed into the final year of his rookie contract, Micah Parsons was in attendance. Many other stars seeking a new deal wouldn't be. See Trey Hendrickson. While Micah Parsons is in Oxnard, California with the rest of his team, he's not doing much on the practice field. According to Parsons, his limited activity is due to back tightness. And there's another one, just like a pulled hamstring, that is the same thing. You can't prove it. There's no MRI. There's nothing. So I'm guessing as soon as his contract gets done, this back tightness, oh man, I got a massage last night. I feel so much better. I'm ready to go. So I would guess that it's just like Alex. His hamstring is miraculously going to be all better as soon as it happens, because just like Alex Anzalone, Micah Parsons crushed his physical to come into camp. So he had to do physical training to prove that he was in shape, just like Anzalone did. And then he gets to camp, and all of a sudden now there's something going on where he doesn't feel he can practice.
Yeah, we'll get into Alex in just a moment. The thing that I find funny is, this whole collusion thing came out.
Yeah.
And in there, they said, it was JC Treader that said, well, I'm going to say allegedly said, that if these guys, don't like their contract, don't like their team, that they can just fake an injury so that they don't have to go through any portions of training camp or, any sort of OTAs, So they don't risk a bigger injury so that they can get their contracts done or be successfully traded. And so that comes out. It's been hot the last week and a half. And I kind of brought it to light, and I'm sure other people had the same thought, that I'm like, well, wait a second. I called BS yesterday morning on the whole Alex thing. But like you're saying, Micah Parsons, I think, remember Doan's from back in the day, Doan's back treatment? You remember that? It was some sort of magnesium pain reliever. And so he's going to get his dose of Doan's, and he's going to feel great as soon as those numbers line up on his contract. I guarantee it.
Well, speaking of that, here's a quote from Micah Parsons. This is him saying this. It's something that I feel is going to hold me back, so I just need to rehab. Whenever my body feels at its best, I will practice. Yeah, whenever my body's fully operating the way we need it to, and things like that.
Yeah. Okay. They're predicting the future is so clear, Riley, that all of a sudden, when he feels that he can practice, he's going to be able to practice. So give us your thoughts on Parsons, and I guess we'll just walk into the landmine right away of Alex Anzalone too. But to curb this right now, and so I want to throw this in there and then get your thoughts. Dallas gets a Houston in a coordinated move after Micah Parsons states that he has this back tightness. Now, Parsons is going to be withheld from camp. He might be there in spirit, but he's not going to be there on the field. So whether Houston sticks or not, yes, we're talking about the same James Houston, former Detroit Lion, is now a Dallas Cowboy. So give me your thoughts on that coordinated move and Micah Parsons.
Yeah, nothing like some Doans or maybe the cash register sound coming from the Venmo account, direct deposit. Something like that would quickly fix all of those problems. But yeah, it was interesting to see because, Micah says yesterday he doesn't seem to be too happy with Jerry Jones. So I'm not doing any of this for Jerry. This is for my teammates. And, I can't fault the guy for wanting to get every last dollar. But yeah, I'm sure some money would quickly fix the back's problems for Micah Parsons.
So Riley, real quick, man, your internet's bugging out. Are you sure you're plugged in?
Are you muted?
No, I'm not muted anymore, but your internet's bugging out. Like you're glitchy. So I want to make sure you're plugged in. Did we lose him?
I think so. Yeah, he's froze.
Yeah, I think we lost him.
Lost his audio.
Here, I'll text him real quick. I barely heard what he was saying. Anyway, Eric, give me your thoughts, man, on the whole James Houston thing.
Yeah, James Houston, I like seeing that he's sticking around the NFL and he hasn't just flamed out. We'll see if he can stick in Dallas or not. He could not stick in Cleveland. He could not stick in Detroit. So we'll see what happens. To me, I have to wonder if it's an attitude problem, a putting in the work problem, what it is, because the guy's got talent. And you could see he had talent. He had all those sacks in just a couple of games. And if he can do that in a couple of games, then he should be able to put something together for more than a couple of games. And he just could not do it. He couldn't get on the field for the Lions. And if he couldn't get on the field for the Lions with all those injuries we had last year, then that's very, very telling to me that there's either an attitude problem, a work issue, something that we just don't know about.
So let me give you my take on Houston, because I don't think I ever did. I wanted to share this last year, but now that we're into a new season, we're seeing that James Houston is getting picked up. I think it's this simple. Aaron Glenn tried to make Houston somebody he wasn't. Aaron Glenn constantly said, we're going to put these guys into the position of winning, right? Whatever they do well, we're going to make sure that that's what they're doing on the field. But then you have the guy doing, coverage, tight ends down the field, which, I mean, I get it. You're going to have to do that at times. But he is more like a, I hate to even compare him to Von Miller because he's not a Von Miller. To me, James Houston was a 35% snap guy. He was a pass rush specialist. So if you want, for him to get into the backfield and create some havoc and start some pressure problems or whatever the case may be, you're putting him in on that down. Whether it's third down, first, second, fourth, it doesn't matter what down it is. It doesn't have to just be third. But the point is, if you're good at doing that, why was AG trying to turn him into a 4-down player or a 3-down player? Just let him be what he could be and affect the game how he could affect the game. And so I think what happened is that pissed him off, right? He got hurt because of it. And then he could have gotten hurt anyway, but it kind of pissed him off. And that probably did rub everybody the wrong way. It probably, Dan Campbell probably didn't like some things that he said, or AG didn't like some things that he said. There was rumors that AG and Houston were butting heads. It was never verified. There was rumors about it, but you know how it is, man. I mean, it's just like people talk at the, at the old watering hole at work and rumors start to get spread and then it gets back to the boss, man or woman, and then you've got a problem, right? And then it's your schedule's changing and they're trying to get you out of there by just screwing with your life, right? I mean, that's just the politics of what it is today. And I think that's the same thing with Houston, man. He probably said the wrong thing to the wrong people. And then it probably made its way back to the coaches or whatever. And it was like, you know what? Enough's enough. If he catches fire in a bottle in Dallas, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. I think he's a good football player. I think he's a pass rush specialist, and that's what you got to use him as.
Yeah, they were trying to turn him into a Sam linebacker, and it didn't pan out.
All right, so up next, that was a Riley topic. We'll wait and see if he gets back in here. I don't see him in the studio.
Since we're talking about, people with injuries, why don't we talk about this guy from the Bears who also has a injury?
Well, okay, let's step into that.
Pull them all in together.
Yeah, let's just pull them all in. So we'll talk about Alex Anzalone next. Talk about what's going on in the NFC North report with Jalen Johnson.
So, cornerback Jalen Johnson. The Bears' Jalen Johnson injury update mars the start of their training camp. And according to ESPN, from a report from ESPN, Jalen Johnson will be out for a couple of weeks to start training camp with a leg injury that he got conditioning for the season.
Well, hold on a second here. Didn't he crush his conditioning test too?
Yeah. So I don't know how he did it before the season. If he crushed his conditioning test.
So this is the same thing that's going on with Alex. It's the same thing that seems to or appears to be going on with Micah. And I mean, are we really surprised? But I mean, let's just put it all together. The other day I was talking about Jalen Johnson from the context that he wanted more money.
Yes.
And he was outwardly expressing the fact that he was watching all of these other players get paid.
Mm-hmm.
And he said as much like, I think that we're going to have a conversation soon. Him and Ryan Poles are going to have to have another conversation soon. And so now all of a sudden he's out of training camp. And he didn't get hurt. There was no report that I found today or yesterday that says he was hurt in practice or he was hurt in training camp. I couldn't find anything to where he was hurt in the offseason. If it was in the offseason, it would be an NFI injury if it wasn't related to football.
Yeah, you would think so. And if you click on the link for this, it says the Chicago Bears cornerback Jalen Johnson is expected to miss several weeks of training camp after injuring his leg while training this offseason, according to general manager Ryan Poles on Tuesday. So was he training with the Bears at their facility when he injured this leg? That would be the only way he would not be on NFI.
Well, that's the only thing that makes sense. Riley, I think you're back. I assume you've heard everything. Give us a rundown of what you think here.
Oh, no audio.
Yeah, you got no audio here.
Make sure the mic's not clicked.
Yeah, hold on. All right, try again.
All right. Yeah. You guys can hear me?
Yeah, we got you now. You just got to unmute.
Yeah. I think it was, well, there was that. And then also I was having some back tightness that caused that. So
Yeah.
somebody sent me a Venmo and I was like, you know what? I think I'm good. I heard that dollar cash register sign. I'm back in. I'm ready to go. But no, I missed a chunk. I don't know if we got to the Tyrann Matthew part. It sounded like you guys were talking Bears. So I kind of caught the tail end of that.
Yeah, so we were looping together the Jalen Johnson injury. He's going to be out of training camp. The Alex Anzalone injury. He's going to, well, we don't know when he's going to be back, which yesterday was very awkward. And then the Micah Parsons back tightness. So it just seems like all three of these guys are looking, for more money. Obviously, we know Alex is. We know Parsons is. But Jalen was very... he was very assertive in the fact that he's watching all these other cornerbacks get paid, and he said as much the other day that he thinks he's going to have a conversation with Ryan Poles soon. Now, he didn't mention that he was going to hold out or hold in. He never mentioned that there was anything wrong. For all we knew, he passed his physical. He was good to go. Now, all of a sudden, he's out of camp. And the article states that this happened during training with the Bears, which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's a vulnerable time, right? For all these guys right now are all getting back. There's a mix of excitement. There's a mix of adrenaline. There's energy. There's, all this pent up energy that you want to go take out. And then, of course, it is a vulnerable time for him to see, well, hey, he's getting paid how much? And I think I'm a better player and I want to get paid more. So it's a, unique time for sure to see kind of all these guys coming back. And so if you're an NFL player, you've got a contract and you don't have to worry about what you're going to make, you're one of the lucky ones, it seems, for sure.
Derek Lewis in the chat asks a really good question. He says, didn't Micah get a contract a few years ago? No, he did not. He had his fifth-year option picked up, and he is playing on that fifth year this year. So he was taken 1 year before Hutch in the draft. And so this is his fifth year in the league, and this is his fifth year option that he's playing on this year. So he's fully guaranteed for this year. And the only other thing that the Cowboys could do is they could franchise tag him for next year if they can't get a contract done this year.
Okay, so timeout. I got to rewind here for a second. I just found something out of the Chicago Tribune that now is reporting that Jalen Johnson is on the NFI list.
Oh.
And they're saying that he did suffer an injury away from the team facilities.
Oh, okay.
So, I'm just reading through it here. One sec.
So this one might be legit.
But I don't know if it's legit, because if he was injured with the team, they would have to be reported different. Obviously, he'd have to be paid different. He's already got a contract, so it is what it is, right? He may not just be getting his per diem because he's not at practice, which, I mean, for somebody that's making $20 million a year, I don't think he needs $2,000 a day. He's already gotten a large part of that deal, by way of signing bonus. And he's already played, I think, 2 seasons under that deal, which is quite a bit of money that he's already brought in. So it's not like he's hurting for money. But
now, when he signed that deal, wasn't he the highest paid safety in the league?
Highest paid corner, yes.
Or corner, yeah.
So what Ryan Poles said, I guess, yesterday is, quote, it's going to take a few weeks before he can come back. We've got a lot of faith that he's going to put in the time to rehab and be his full self when he comes back. I'm sure we'll have updates as we go through training camp, but it's going to take a little bit of time. But we're not overly concerned about it long term, which is, I think, is the same quote that you just mentioned too, Eric. I think it's the same thing. But in other injury news for the Bears, Ian Wheeler and wide receiver Jade Walker were activated off the NFI list. So when I talked about this the other day, about Jalen Johnson potentially being a hold-in or a holdout because of money, he was never mentioned in that NFI list. Now, maybe I missed it, or we missed it simply because the Bears didn't have to report anything until they actually showed up to camp. That could be it, too, that it just wasn't out there at that time. But, hey, it is what it is. I'm not mad at it. Let's get to the next topic here. Caleb Williams, man, let's highlight this one too.
All right. So Caleb Williams reveals 2 specific goals for 2025. And I've read a couple of articles about this, and some of them seem to be coming straight from Williams, and some of them seem to be coming through Ben Johnson. So his 2 goals that he set for the 2025 season are pretty simple. He wants to have a 70% completion rating on passes, and he also wants to get 4,000 yards for the first time for any quarterback ever for the Chicago Bears. Now, to me, is that more centered on himself or more centered on the team? I would just want to win more games, and if I get accolades, if I get records, fine, I'll get them along the way, but I would rather just win games. So I saw an interview with JMO yesterday, and they were asking him the same thing. Like, what are your personal goals for this year? I just want to win games. I just want to be better than we were last year. I'm not worried about, personal goals. I'm more worried about winning games.
Who said that?
JMO.
Yeah.
So I think JMO had a much more mature response in year 3 to those questions, rather than saying, "Oh, I want to put up 1,000 again this year." And that's what they were kind of asking him. Would you be okay with putting up just 1,000 yards again this year? And he's like, "Oh, I'm not worried about personal accolades. I just want to win games, and I want to go to the Super Bowl."
Yeah, if you remember last year, it was the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And so that's part of one of our topics when we get into Lions news about JMO is the maturity level. And we'll get into that here in a few moments too. But yeah, last year, JMO was all about himself and wanting to have a better year. I guess looking at this at the face of it, reading through, did you read the whole quote? Where he says, obviously I have self goals, and that's being the first 4,000 yard passer in Bears history. That's a goal of mine. 70% completion helps the team, keeps us on the field, puts us in better positions. And then other than that, just trying to go down and score the most points that we can with each drive that we have. I see a lot of we's and us's in there. I mean, I get the emphasis that he's trying to put on it. I understand the 4,000 yard passing. I mean, it is something that has escaped the Bears forever. They just can't get over that hump. Last year he had 3,541 yards and 20 TDs, 6 INTs. It wasn't a terrible year, but I think that when you look at his accuracy, if I was Caleb, I would have said, I need to improve my accuracy this year. That dude is spraying buckshot everywhere. It was terrible. He couldn't hit a broadside of a barn if you asked him to. So, I mean, it's an interesting statement. I guess, what are your thoughts, Riley, on the Caleb Williams goals for the season?
Yeah, I'm both surprised and not surprised, just everything we know about Caleb Williams. I've made it no secret. I love the dude's talent. His ability to escape in the pocket and improvise is elite. He can make a throw on the run that just will literally have you, your jaw will hit the floor. But the right answer, in my opinion, would have been, and I don't know how old he is, 23, something like that. I don't know what I would have said at 23. But at 36, my answer would just be, I just want to win football games, because the statistics, you trust everything will take care of itself. And if if he hits these stats, but they win 3 games, it doesn't really matter. So, but I guess that's just his approach to it. Hey, bring all this pressure on, dude, just go try to win football games. Don't worry so much about the stats, because if you win playoff games, you win a Super Bowl. Not that I think Chicago's in the running for that this year.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that too, that if you hit all these stats, but you're not winning games, I'm just going to throw it out there. If you get all these sacks, but if you're not winning football games,
it doesn't matter.
What do the sacks matter? It's just a number on a piece of paper for you to smile at the next year, but you know what you're not going to be smiling at is the fact that you don't have a big gaudy ring on your finger, and you don't have that asterisk by your name as a Super Bowl winner. So next up, Green Bay. So going a little further north from across the pond. Little training camp preview here for the Green Bay Packers. Now, their camp runs from Wednesday through August 21. So they're starting camp today. And when a team does something that they haven't done in 23 years, which I think both of you know what that is, it kind of becomes a story of, is Matt LaFleur and Gutekunst on the hot seat, right? Because they pulled a receiver in the first round, which they haven't done in 23 years. Matthew Golden. And that to me, it screams, yep, we need a receiver, but we need to do something that's loud, right? We really need to do something to kind of shake things up. I thought the receiver room was great, to be honest with you. I thought with what they've had, Jalen Reed and Christian Watson and others, I think that the receiver room was fine. So now they bring in Matthew Golden. Obviously, Jordan Love really needs to take a big step forward this year. The fact they paid him, $50 million a year, and he's just not producing the way that I would think that any one of them wanted him to so far is probably a problem within the ownership. I guess, is anyone on the hot seat is going to be the question to start the season. When the Lions go up to Green Bay in week 1 and completely pound them into the sand again, I think that that's where the conversation is going to start. That Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst, they both have 2 years left on their contracts, and they may not even make it that far if they can't win the division this year. I really believe it's riding on the division. If they don't win the division, which I'm expecting them not to, that they're on the hot seat. So that's my hot take for the day, is that those two guys, if they don't win the division, it's over. And they did something, loud by bringing in a receiver that they haven't done in 23 years to kind of move the pressure off of them a little bit, right? It's just like in politics. When something's really bad is happening, they switch it up and they throw something else out there. Or they go start a war or do, you know what I'm saying? Like, they try to shift the narrative quickly. Same thing here in the NFL, man. It's all politics in the NFL. I know you love the Packers.
Yep.
Eric. So what do you think about this situation?
Well, I think if, let's say, the Packers win 4 to 6 games this year, I think that LaFleur is done. And especially with him not being able to hold his temper against a fan that is spewing at him at the Lions game last year. And just I think he's had plenty of time to get it done, and he hasn't gotten it done. Has Matt LaFleur won a Super Bowl yet?
No, they haven't won a Super Bowl since Aaron Rodgers did in 2011, I believe.
Yeah.
So
I mean, this guy's been here for a while, and he has not gotten it done. They've been to multiple NFC championship games and lost. They've been to the playoffs multiple times and lost. This is starting to turn into a Mike Tomlin type situation where they're good every year. They haven't had a last place finish in the NFC North in quite a long time, but they just haven't got over the hump. So is it time to move on? It could possibly be there.
All right, so let me get your take. We got about 90 seconds here, Riley. Quarterback Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur spent some time this offseason really refuting the notion that that Love has not regressed. And they do have another quarterback on the roster, by the way, that won some football games last year. And I thought he played fairly well, Malik Willis. So if things get hot in a hurry, do you think Malik Willis is going to sit down Jordan Love for the starting position and take it over? Give me your thoughts on Jordan Love. Did he regress last year? And do you think Malik Willis could potentially replace him?
I don't. No, I think you made a commitment, financial commitment to Jordan Love. I think they're riding it out with him. Last 3 years, they've won 8 games, 9 games. Then last year, won 11 games. The problem is they went 1-5 in the division. So yeah, you're right. Week 1 comes out. If they lose a division game, you start feeling like, a win would do so much for him, and a loss could make him start feeling like, here we go again. But I don't foresee, unless he obviously is playing terrible football, that they would move on from Jordan Love. I think they made a commitment to him, and they're going to go down with him if he goes down. They're doing it together.
So my final 30 on the Packers would be, according to this article here by ESPN, keeping an eye on Christian Watson. And I get it. I understand the Matthew Golden pick simply because Christian Watson has an ACL to repair. He's got rehab. He had surgery in January, so he obviously isn't going to play this season. I wouldn't even imagine he'd come anywhere close. So I understand the pick from that standpoint, but I still think it was a pick that was trying to deflect and take the pressure off of these guys. The running back situation, it might not seem like a big deal, again, according to this article, that the workload that Josh Jacobs handled last season combined with his catches, he had a really good season last year. If he stays fresh, if he stays healthy, I think that he could help them, lead back to the playoffs, maybe win a playoff game. It's just not going to be against the Lions. I'm sorry. Their left tackle situation, despite starting almost every game the past 2 seasons, Rasheed Walker does not appear to have a firm hold on the job. So that's big news too. So we're going to go into the break. Eric, tell us all about YOOPERLITES. Oh, Eric would love to tell us all about YOOPERLITES, but he's not in this. I apologize. So YOOPERLITES, man, please visit YOOPERLITES.com today at some point after the show and see why the latest craze in the Upper Peninsula or anywhere in Michigan and honestly across the country is finding the glowing rocks. YOOPERLITES.com. Check them out today. Rockhound certified, man. Get in the game. Get into YOOPERLITES. Sorry, buddy. I forgot to put you in the promo there. Anyway, what's next here in the NFC North report would be the Vikings. Eric, what's the big bang that happened in Minnesota?
So this is written by a Vikings writer, and I came across this story last night, and I found it very interesting. He says 4 years ago, a big bang sparked the Vikings-Lions rivalry. So are the Vikings our biggest rival now? And that's kind of where I was going with all this. And he says, at first there was nothing, a big dark space that most never really thought about. There wasn't a lot going on until an event changed the universe. Then it happened. A cataclysmic event raged across the sky, created from a cooking underbelly that changed time as we know it. You may think I'm referring to the Big Bang Theory that shaped the universe nearly 14 billion years ago. In reality, this rival is between the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings, and more the early universe than the asylum it had become in recent years. And Minnesota was fighting for its playoff lives and reaching out for its biannual security blanket. Whenever things went wrong, Vikings fans could always count on the Lions. Kirk Cousins is in a funk. Here come the Lions. The Vikings are failing in the divisional game. Good thing they're playing the Lions. Mike Zimmer is about to lose his job. That's okay. Matt Patricia and the Lions are there. If the Lions were a meal, it was the one that you asked your parents to make you when you came home from college. It always left you satisfied and feeling better about the environment you lived in.
I hate to laugh at the Lions' futility, but yeah, that is spot on. Whenever a team needed a boost, hey, the Lions are coming to town. This is going to be a win. Not anymore. Not anymore. I love it. Everyone's circling the Lions this year, man.
That's just the way it was. And until the Lions in 2021, they go on to talk about the game where the Lions were up 20-6, and then Minnesota comes back to get the lead 27-23 with 1 minute and 50 seconds to play. And they're thinking, oh, we got this in the bag again. And then it happened. The event happened. The team that had been known for Joey Harrington and Charlie Batch and Matt Millen, they finally decided to give him a counterpunch. And Jared Goff, the quarterback god Sean McVay had dumped the previous season, led a 14-play drive that put the Lions on the 11-yard line with 4 seconds to go. Goff dropped back and found Amon-Ra St. Brown for the game-winning touchdown, and Campbell won his first game as the head coach of the Detroit Lions. And from that moment on, that was the big bang for the rivalry between the Vikings and the Lions. And now Dan Campbell has went 5-1 versus the Minnesota Vikings since that day. And it's pretty darn awesome that now the Lions are doing what they're doing in the NFC North. So I just thought this was pretty funny, that they really did look at the Lions as just another game. These guys were just the losers on the schedule every year. This was 2 automatic wins, and they were divisional wins. So it's kind of like the way we look at the Bears now.
So does anyone have any confidence in JJ McCarthy? Now, I've seen plenty of Lions fans say that they believe JJ McCarthy is going to be a great quarterback this year, but I'm going to hit the pause button on that because you're also U of M fans. So I get it, right? You're a fan of the Wolverines, so you're going to support your guy, JJ McCarthy, and think that he's going to have some great season. The question that I have for you, Riley, would be, for the Minnesota Vikings, they have hitched their wagon to JJ, who has not played one down in an NFL game, well, at least in a regular season, and is coming off of knee injury. He is now the leader of this team. We watched Sam Darnold do what he did last year with this team, but Sam also had several years of experience, and he also had a rocket launcher for an arm. He just needed to be surrounded by some guys, and he had a very successful season. And now that's getting all handed over to J.J. McCarthy. So that's the question. Is J.J. McCarthy expected to have a great season? And do you think that he will have a great season? And I guess define great would be getting into the playoffs and having a winning record. I think at a minimum would be a great season for a rookie, is having a winning record. I think great would be getting into the playoffs.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think just like the Lions, we may not say, hey, they're going to win 15 games again. Maybe Minnesota doesn't win 14 again this year, but they should still be a really good team. And I think what it all goes back to, as we all know, a lot of Vikings fans, Thor Nystrom, Jason Harmon, a bunch of these guys that are really intelligent football minds. Their belief is, you look at a guy like a Sam Darnold, he had a great season. Some of it was his talent, but why did he fail so miserably before that? And for those guys, it was because of Kevin O'Connell. So they feel that Kevin O'Connell being your head coach just by default gives you a very high floor. Now, if he hits a ceiling, they're looking at winning the NFC North. I know that's their aspiration. I do think it's possible. I've made it no secret. I think J.J. McCarthy, Caleb Williams, these guys do have me worried a little bit about the future, but not to the point where I feel like they're, that the Lions would be the underdog. So, I think J.J. McCarthy's going to have a very good season. We'll see how great that means. I do think that it would have to be a great season would be getting to the playoffs, possibly winning a playoff game, which they didn't do last year.
No, they didn't win their playoff game. They did get into the playoffs, though. That was a hell of a season for the Vikings. I mean, again, I know that I was one of the few that felt that Darnold was going to be able to lead that team to water and actually allow them to drink, and they did. I mean, they had a really good season. So it starts all over, man. It's a new season. Let's go through a little bit of observations yesterday. Last night I did, or not last night. Yesterday I did a video based on Tim Twentyman's observations. I liked what Pride of Detroit put together. So this is Eric Schlitt. And he kind of lays it all out, right? The participation report, only a few minor injuries to report on day 3. But Campbell disclosed the timeline for return on several players on the injury lists at the morning's press conference. And so the day 3 injury news and participation report was this. The new injuries was running back Sione Vaki, hamstring. That one is legit. Defensive tackle Roy Lopez had his foot stomped and his cleat kind of dug into the turf there. Broderick Martin yesterday suffered a foot injury, and I'm wondering if it's of similar nature. And then offensive tackle Jamarco Jones suffered through some cramps. So, look, this training staff has got to get these Lions to drink more water, something. Give them some vitamin B shots, magnesium. I don't know what they need. They need something. There's this salt now that I'm about to order today. Comes in a blue bag. I'll share it with you guys, but it has like every mineral possible, and I'm going to start drinking it in my water so that I'm not drinking Gatorade. Right? I don't want to drink Gatorade unless I'm sweating. I want to drink this water to get all the mineral replacements that we need. So there's a few injuries there. Vaki and Lopez obviously suffered their injuries on Monday's practice. And then Jamarco Jones and Broderick Martin were yesterday. So returning to practice was DJ Reed. Now, Reed confirmed to the Pride of Detroit that he had missed Monday's practice due to the birth of his 3rd child. So big congratulations to DJ Reed. We suspected that's what was happening. We didn't know what the answer was, but Pride of Detroit did confirm it. So players working with trainers. This was another bit of good news yesterday. Ennis Rakestraw, his chest contusion doesn't look to be long-term, if you will. He'll be back soon, which is, I think, Ennis Rakestraw really needs to stay healthy, man. He has not been healthy at all since he's been with this team. He needs this season. Like, this has got to be the last of the injuries for him. He needs to get through this season, being able to play through some of the bumps and bruises that you're going to get. Major injury, obviously, you can't do anything about. And Dan Campbell had a really good segment on the XM show where he was talking about the injuries. And to kind of paraphrase the quote, it's out of your control. Right? It's totally out of your control. You can't control injuries in the NFL. And for whatever reason, Lions fans think that we can. We can't. I mean, you could walk out your door right now, jump in your car, and you know, you could hit a deer, right? You can't control that. You can't control what that deer is going to do that day. Same thing happens in practice. You can't, or even a game. You can't control what's going to happen. Offensive tackle Miles Frazier, who the Lions brought in this year's draft. Campbell was asked a bunch of questions, but he wasn't clear on whether these timetables were for their return or their practice or when they'd be able to play. But Miles Frazier with a knee, probably, I don't know, let's call it September, October. Let's say something like that. So that's bad news. That the other guard that we brought in this year to help this team is not going to be back until September, October. The rest of the guys, Khalil Dorsey, Malcolm Rodriguez, Mekhi Wingo, looks like they're all due back soon. Again, September, October being the date. Back to this article, though. Now, the intensity ramped up on day 3. As we know, practice came to a crashing halt. There's a really good wide receiver DB battle going on. They talk about the quality quarterback reps. In Monday's observations, they said that Hendon Hooker was seizing the opportunity at quarterback 2 and installing the things that he's been working on over the summer. And then yesterday, it was Kyle Allen's turn at quarterback 2, and he also looked sharp, which was great news that we've got 2 quarterbacks that are starting to look good. This is Hendon Hooker's opportunity to really take that quarterback 2 job. So I'm going to stop there. Eric, what is your outlook for Hendon Hooker this season?
I think he's going to be just fine. I do not think that Kyle Allen is going to supplant him. They have too much invested in Hooker. They just want to make sure that he, I don't know if it was injury, something between the ears or what was going on the last couple of years with Hendon Hooker. But I think the Lions did the right thing and gave him some homework this offseason, and they're getting him to the point they need him to be. And that's a quality backup that can step in and win a couple games if, heaven forbid, something happens to Jared Goff.
Riley, I'll throw the same question to you. And a big shout out this morning. Brandy Coffee just sent a gifted membership, and I am so happy, just like I would be for all of you. But Adam Gikowski, who has been donating to the Rockhound Cancer Foundation every single week. I thought he was already a member, but he just received a membership through Brandy Coffee. So big ups, Brandy, appreciate you, and welcome to the Lions faithful, my guy. I'm very glad that you're a part of it. I forgot to put it out yesterday, but I'll put it out today. The Voxer chat that you'll be a part of. We'll give you a Z-Sack. How about that? We don't have him back on the team just yet.
There's the shotgun snap. Jones back. Jones looking. Jones gonna get hit. Gonna go down. Sack. Zadarius Smith. Welcome to Detroit, my man.
All right, so Riley, walk us through Hendon Hooker here. You've been watching him for the last few seasons. Where do you think he progresses here in year 3?
Yeah, I'm right there with Eric. I think he will get a stranglehold on that QB2 spot and not relinquish it. And I, saw not a lot, but some outlets that were saying, hey, he's done in Detroit. He's the QB3. It was the first day. They're not going to make that decision that early, right? So you look at how they understood the mentality and the strength, the mental strength that Jared Goff has. Brad Holmes knows his quarterbacks. He knows these guys very, very well. He knows what they can handle. He knows the challenges that they're capable of dealing with and overcoming. I think that they like all three quarterbacks, but I do think that in the long run, Hendon Hooker is going to get that spot and then kind of hold firm to it. Great thing is we are 8 days away from seeing him take some snaps. Really want to see him play well. Obviously, these first preseason games, come out, make a statement, make it no doubt that you are the second best quarterback on this roster.
Second best. Right? That's not a place anyone loves to be, but it's really hard to unseat Jared Goff, man. I'm extremely excited to see how he benefits from a new offensive system, which is not very new, but there's going to be some wrinkles in it. As I've heard, last night when I was listening to the XM radio, which I'm going to highlight today. So there's going to be some videos coming out talking about what everyone else is talking about. But in case you don't have a subscription, I'm going to make a video about it so that you can hear it. The blitz pickup. So this was something that we started talking about early in the offseason, which is how is Calvin Shepard going to manage this defense? What is he going to do with the blitz packages? How is he going to get other players involved other than the defensive ends or the defensive tackles? And the thing that I had mentioned early is I felt that the linebackers are going to be a big part of this defense this year, primarily because Calvin Shepard's a former linebacker. Like, it's the aha moment. Like, he's a linebacker. Of course he wants his linebackers to shine. So that was just me thinking, one, it makes sense because now you have the guys in front of you, right? That front, 4 or 5 are looking really good until these injuries have been happening. But our front 4 or 5 should be able to maintain one-on-ones, allowing these linebackers to free up. But yesterday it was reported that the Lions defense sent numerous blitzes, including those with 2 linebackers. Or the other thing that I had mentioned in the offseason, which I wanted to see more DB blitz. So the other package was a linebacker and a defensive back that were getting the primary blitz options in yesterday's practice. Now, there's not supposed to be a whole lot of contact, so some of this stuff is over-glorified. But the running backs, which this isn't over-glorified, had to pick up the blitzes. And what it was reported is that the running backs were picking up the blitzes with ease. So, excuse me. Allergies are out of control today, since last night, really. So not always to see the backs blocking in the wash, Eric Schlitt writes, but there were a few clear wins with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. Montgomery is known for an excellent pass blocker, but this was an area that Gibbs has been developing, and it appears he has taken a positive step. So good news out of camp so far is both of our backs are doing a better job at picking up the blitz, and even better news that Calvin Shepard is mixing it up. Wide receivers showing out yesterday. Obviously, we know Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamison Williams are going to be really good football players this year, as they have been. But as Eric Schlitt writes, he says, with third down being a primary focus of the day yesterday, there were a lot of team drills and offensive passing opportunities. We're beginning to see all 4 of the Lions' rookie receivers get worked in higher in the rotation. When Dominic Lovett got kind of taken out yesterday by Morris Norris, I think that, obviously that sent Dan Campbell over an edge because I think Dominic Lovett is going to make this roster. This early, even earlier, when I started watching this tape in the offseason, I'm like, 1, he's got some of the fastest feet I've ever seen. But 2, I think that he can be a very special asset. He can do exactly what Amon-Ra does, but he's a lot quicker. So if he can stay healthy, I think that we're going to see Dominic Lovett on this roster. Isaac Tesla saw mainly second-team reps, but did get a few first-team reps as well. Dominic Lovett continued to split time between second and third team. The big change came in with the UDFA rookies, where Jacoby Keeney James and Jackson Meeks, who were regularly getting second-team looks, were mixing it up in third-team reps. So Keeney James' speed and his yak ability really showed up in Tuesday's practice. Meeks kind of took over early with reps on the second team offense, but didn't make too big of an impact. And then to finish out the wide receivers. The fact that the majority of the second team reps went to rookies is a significant development in the competition for depth roles at the wide receiver position. So I'll go to both of you on this one. I said early, too, that I felt Khalif Raymond was going to have his job impeded with competition this year, and we may not see him make the initial roster. It's hard to imagine a year without Khalif Raymond being on this team because he is so deadly as a returner. And I don't want to say he's going to be off the team because right now I think he's the fourth receiver or fifth receiver. But with these rookies developing as quick as they are, with a vet you can place on the vet squad with a handshake deal that won't sign with somebody else. With a rookie, you can't. So if they go on to the practice squad or if they get cut, they can be picked up. You know, if it's a UDFA or they can be picked up. So I'm more concerned that we could lose a receiver this year that we need. And I think that Khalif Raymond is definitely needed in the punt return and kick return game. Your thoughts on the wide receiver position, Eric, so far through camp?
Yeah, you have to realize wide receivers like Tim Patrick and Khalif Raymond, they're getting up there. And we are getting younger every single year in the NFL, especially with the Detroit Lions. They still are one of the younger teams, and they're going to be transitioning to younger and younger players. And there's nothing that stops Father Time. We could have a very good problem this year. We could have too many quality wide receivers, and we could be forced to keep one of these wide receivers that are younger and faster and catching more balls than one of the guys that are proven. And the Lions may take a chance on one of these young guys this year.
Riley, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm right there with Eric. Honestly, you're right. It's hard to imagine a guy like Khalif Raymond not being on the team, but if it means you risk you run the risk of losing a Dominic Lovett, is it worth it? You know, these are decisions that, you know, this is why Brad Holmes makes the big bucks, right? They have to make these decisions. And I was thinking this morning as well, even outside of the receiver room, it's crazy because going into the draft, I remember saying, and you said, Will, if they get 3 good football players out of this draft, it's a win, right? Because there wasn't as many positions available. There's not as many spots open for grabs to start. That's kind of changed now. Obviously, we didn't know Ragnow was going to go down. We didn't know Levi O was going to go down. And then so now all of a sudden you're needing all these guys to play big roles. And then, you know, for Williams and Ratledge and Tesla, those guys all got to contribute. And then on the back end, yeah, a guy like Lovett, you maybe don't need him right off the bat, but do you want to risk losing him? Again, these are the decisions that face Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes in the front office.
Eric, do you have this article open by chance?
Yeah, I do.
Could you run through, because I'm going to try to dial up this video, could you run through the offensive line updates and changes, please?
Sure. The Lions offensive line appears to have settled in, and multiple players are playing at the same position in consecutive practices. And here's how the starters continue to look while Decker remains. So at left tackle, we have Dan Skipper. Left guard, we have Christian Mahogany. At center, Tate Ratledge, and he has taken basically every snap at training camp so far at the center position. Right guard is Graham Glasgow, back in his natural position, and he said as much in an interview the other day. Right tackle is our all-pro Penei Sewell. And then the second team tackles and guards also remain the same. However, the second team center rotation is now up to 3 players. Kingsley Egekwan, Michael Neese, and Tristan Colon continue to cycle through center 2, 3, and left guard 3 positions, while each taking a full day's rep at each of those spots. Here's how things looked on day 3, with the previous positions being shown in parentheses. So yesterday, the second team offensive line was left tackle Giovanni Manu. Left guard to start was Netane Moody, and then Michael Neese. And then center was Tristan Colon with Kingsley coming right behind. Right guard was Coyote Iwasaka with Corby Sorsdahl, everybody's favorite there, as the second right guard. And then right tackle was Jamarco Jones with Mason Miller right behind. And I heard a little thing about Corby Sorsdahl yesterday that someone was thinking he may make the roster just because he can swing to all 5 positions. And having someone that isn't the best at any one of them, but that can play all of them, might make his spot a thing of the future for the Detroit Lions. I doubt it. But
so he might be able to. You're saying he might be able to make the roster because of his versatility.
Yeah, that would be it.
And then we also have Miles Frazier, who, I mean, even though his knee has him out till, let's just say, October.
Yep.
He's probably not going to be really ready for a while yet. I mean, he's missing the entire camp, which is vital for a rookie. So I think that you're right. That Colby Sorsdahl, which a lot of us thought was going to be written off this year and potentially be a practice squad guy, someone else probably would have picked him up, may end up making this roster simply because it's the position that the Lions are in. Yeah, very interesting news. Riley, thoughts on the offensive line?
Yeah, just that as you go into camp as a player, I would imagine all these guys, the Sorsdahl is a perfect example of that. For a lot of these guys, there's not just like, yeah, we're really trying out for another team. All of them have to feel like, dude, I really legitimately, genuinely have a spot to carve out for myself. There's a role to be had here. So not surprised that there's intensity in the practices. And, nobody wants to be the weak link in the chain along this line. So, yeah, we'll see. I mean, when during the draft, my thought was Glasgow might be out. Well, how wrong I was on that. You look at Sorsdahl, maybe he's out. Well, maybe not so fast, right? Your versatility matters, being able to fill in, because we never know what it's going to look like, in the middle or towards the end of the season, who's healthy. And if you can get fresh bodies in there, obviously that all accounts to something. So, high intensity, not surprised, and love to see it.
Go ahead and go to the next one. I'm still trying to get this rolling.
All right. So we have some opportunities along the defensive line. With the Lions defensive line dealing with a few injuries, it's opened the door for depth players to seize the opportunity in front of them. We've talked about Pat O'Connor is stepping up for Levi O. But another surprise player has begun to step into the light, and this is UDFA rookie Keith Cooper. And this is someone that Dan Campbell has spoken about a couple times in his press conferences now. And this is a kid I knew absolutely zero about until Dan Campbell said something about this kid. Didn't even know we had him. So Cooper played some defensive tackle early in his college days, but was primarily an edge defender for the past few seasons. At 6'5", 280 pounds, holy, Cooper is a bit of a tweener, but has been earning snaps on the second team at both the 3-tech and 4-eye roles, with Makai Wingo expected to be out until September. This is a big opportunity for the rookie hybrid to garner attention. We've also seen some unexpected production out of a few returning edge rushers, with Nate Lynn drawing the most attention on several plays behind the line of scrimmage. On Tuesday, Lynn made a tackle for loss on a screen play to Craig Reynolds and destroyed UDFA rookie right tackle Mason Miller with a flawless cross-step rip to secure a sack. Lynn also made quick work of Ahmed Hassanin during a gunner versus blocker special teams drill, dispatching the rookie immediately and creating a clear path in his pursuit.
Well, that's not good news that Ahmed got dispatched pretty easily. Who was that?
But that was a special teams drill. So that was Nate Lynn got him on a special teams drill.
Yeah, Nate's been around for a hot minute.
Yep. And Nate Lynn was somebody the Lions really wanted to see what he could do last year, and he got put on injured reserve, if I remember correctly. He was one of those guys that got injured and did not make it through the season.
I mean, we've heard nothing but good news about Ahmed Hassanin. Yesterday it was mentioned that obviously his motor is extremely high. He's been doing very well. Dan Campbell mentioned that they even have to tone him back a little bit because he is all go, 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 go. But we're not hearing a whole lot about the mistakes, and I'm sure they're being made. Every rookie has them.
Yep.
And we'll obviously get more info. So tonight, when I launch this video about Aiden Hutchinson, we're finally getting our first words about Aiden in practice. Nobody has written about it yet that I've seen. Of course, I haven't checked anything yet this morning, but I haven't heard anything about Aiden's performance in camp so far. So this video is going to come probably around noon, around the lunch hour, and you're going to hear the first words being spoken about Aiden from Dan Campbell in his perspective. Riley, any quick thoughts on that last segment there? I want to blow into the Jameson Williams video since, I mean, it's kind of the subject of today's thumbnail. I want to make sure we get it in. But what is your comments there on the last segment by Eric?
Yeah, I saw that too, and it kind of brought me some pain to see Ahmed get, somebody get the better of him on a play, Nate Lynn. But I think you're right, Eric. Special teams, things like that are bound to happen. But again, from everything we're hearing, they don't have to work on increasing the intensity, at practice. And so I just wish I was there to be able to watch it. I can't wait to see it here in a week.
I think that I couldn't have said it better myself right there. I mean, you're not having to dial up intensity in practice, right?
Yeah,
we don't need the enforcer, Dan Campbell, out there starting fights. Right? It's these guys are going at it.
Yeah.
Which it's easier to go the other way, right? Where it's easier to to have to dial it up because you're not getting enough. But if these guys are just ready to rock and roll every day, I mean, it's like speed, right? You can't teach speed.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing with intensity, man. It's either you have it or you don't. You can't manufacture intensity. And these guys have it. And I think that also it spells the story about Brad Holmes and his direction with the team.
Yes.
And the guys that he brings in. He doesn't want guys that can talk a good game, right? All salesmen can talk a good game, but can you back it up, right? And the guys that he brings in back it up. And that's what I love about this team, man, is we've got the right mixture of football players, which is what they want. So, all right, let's head into – I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're right. It's not an accident.
Yeah.
He's digging. He knows these guys have high motors because then you don't have to, imagine if you're Dan Campbell walking out to the field like, God, what are these guys going to look like today? You don't have to worry about that. That's because of who you drafted.
And you know what else is going to be fun to watch too is when pads get on, that's when I think we're going to see guys like Ahmed come to life. That's when I think we're going to see and hear a whole lot more about what this rookie can do. All right, let's get into JMO. So a 6-minute video here on JMO. We might start and stop and talk during, but let's recap what JMO said after practice yesterday. Funny enough, the title of this video by the Detroit Lions, Eric, is something that we, all three of us have spoken about, which is leadership. All three of us on this show about a month ago said, what is the most important thing for Jameson Williams in 2025? And all three of us were convicted in our answer and said leadership and maturity, right? He's got to learn how to stay in the game by being mature and doing the right things on and off the field. But the direction of that conversation was about his next contract. And if he develops into a leader and he's proven himself to be a leader, then other teams are probably going to look at him and say, we'll pay you. You can come be our number one because you've now developed through the maturity and into leadership. And that's really hard. Like, it's not just easy to be a leader. Vocal wise, on the field, I mean, you have to do it day in and day out by your presence and the work that you leave on the field. Again, good salesmen can talk a good game, but if you can't back it up, then it's just not going to work out, right? You're going to get uncovered pretty quickly that you're a fake, you're a fraud. JMO's anything but a fraud. Like, the guy has it. It's just, can he develop those, other couple of pieces to his game, which are not even related to football. It's related to his person. And so let's listen to the video. And then we'll have some conversation about it. Either, like I said, before, during, or after. All right, Jameson Williams. I'm excited about this guy. I really am. I'm excited about this season for him. Let me make sure that I have the audio in before I even hit start.
That JMO has some money to make this season. Hey, if he plays well, oof, and he is going to get a bag.
All right, we should be good to go. Hopefully it's not too loud. All right, here we go. Jameson Williams.
I ain't put on no weight. I would say I put on no weight. I stepped on the scale. I was the same weight. I probably just got more, muscular. That was it, probably.
Really low volume. Can everybody hear it okay?
Yeah, man. I'm loving how they moving, and I'm loving the, shout out to Coach Ship. He got some great defenses out there. He just showing us a lot of looks. A lot of looks we might not see from other teams, and our DBs, they're aggressive and they want to go against the best guys. We got the best guys, so they're so aggressive towards going towards us. We can help them as much as they help us. So I know it's like a back and forth thing. We helping each other get better every day.
So you've had some good battles with DJ in particular. I mean, can you talk about that and what he's brought to?
I love the way he played. He showed me some things. Today he had a pass deflection on me. I went to him. I'm asking him like, I know you had to be playing the hands because I showed late hands. So, just talking back and forth after, me winning or losing against him. So it's nothing. It's just helping each other get better, like I said.
Yeah. I was just going to ask, is there anybody from that back end that's...
I missed that. I got to rewind that.
Everybody. I know you had to be playing the hands. I love the way he played. We helping each other get better every day.
So you've had some good battles with DJ in particular. I mean, can you talk about that and what he's brought to?
I love the way he played. He showed me some things. Today he had a pass deflection on me. I went to him. I'm asking him like, I know you had to be playing the hands because I showed late hands. So, just talking back and forth after me winning or losing against him. So it's nothing. It's just helping each other get better, like I said.
Yeah. I was just gonna ask, is there anybody from that back end that's kind of stood out to you a little bit earlier?
Everybody. I ain't gonna lie. We got all pro safety Kirby. We got Terrion Arnold going into his second year. DJ Reed, a vet. We got guys backing them up. It all shout out to the D-line, too. They getting the pressure to help the DBs, not have to guard for so long. So, I think it's a whole defensive team. They all helping each other.
I know you've never really lacked confidence, I guess, but is it fair to say that you're, more comfortable out there now?
Yeah. I would say that, going through the plays, going through the motions, it feels a lot better, knowing what you have to do and knowing what you got, what routes you got, what's the split, and things like that. So, it's always feels good just knowing what you can do.
I know you're always a team guy, and that's the goal first, but just curious, 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns last year. Is there anything that you kind of set up for yourself or any individual goals that you think?
Nah. I don't really set goals, my goal was to make it to the NFL. I'm here now. I got to win. That's my goal, win.
I saw after a play, too, I think it was Keeney James that you were, it looked like giving him pointers or something like that.
What'd you say?
It looked like Keeney James after one of those plays you were explaining something to him. Do you feel more comfortable doing those type of things as well?
Yeah, because hearing what, just sitting back and watching everybody meet, like I said, knowing what's going on and what the plays is and everything. Seeing just one little mistake, I can just go out there and help him fix everything. And just next play, he won't have no more mess ups and nothing like that. So, I'm just trying to help everybody be the best they could be, including myself.
What are your impressions of John's offense?
Oh, I love it. He attacking every aspect of the game, and he real aggressive. I just like that about him. I love it about him. The way he coaches, the way he calls his plays, how he attack the game and everything.
Looks like you and Jared are pretty good on the same page here. You're taking a lot of shots down the field. He's looking to you quite often. Just that relationship, you guys feel like you're at a next level now. You're real comfortable.
Yeah, I feel comfortable. It's something we can continue to work on and get great at. We're not at our best right now, but eventually we're gonna keep working and it's gonna be clicking by the season.
How much more do you feel comfortable as an overall player coming into this year compared to recent years?
I feel a lot comfortable. Year 4. Training camp. No distractions. You're just out here playing football. That's my main focus. Just playing football, getting out there, making plays, doing what I can do for my team.
Enjoy the chippy nature of the practice today?
Oh yeah. That's what makes us so great. I think we not slowing down or, going slow. We intense all the way until the touch of the play. It's talking back and forth. We get each other going, but, we make plays and defense make plays. So, it's just back and forth. We're just trying to get each other better and be ready for September 7th.
Can you assess whether or not the offense is ahead of the defense at this point?
I don't really know. We just in day 3 right now. So hopefully, we can be at the same point and just keep getting each other better. And by the time the game comes, nobody can stop us on either side of the ball.
Obviously, Scotty's been in the building for a couple years, the manager position coaches. What have you like on him working with him?
He's a great NFL coach, man. I love him. He didn't taught me so much just from me being in his room since he got the job and to this day. And it's just going to get better and better and better. He knows the game. He had some great receivers back in the day. He went to the running back room. Now he's back with receivers. So, I just love the way he coached, and I love the way he lets us go out there and play for ourselves, but he's still coaching us at the same time, So I think that's the best thing. He let players be players and still coach on top of that. So that's the best thing.
On a personal level, how do you want to be better this year?
I guess the only thing I can say for that is, make more plays for my team. No matter if it's running, passing, blocking, no matter what it is, just being out there and making plays for my team, making more plays.
When we were talking to John Morton a few weeks ago, he said that you guys had you got together and you talked about his expectations for you this year, and he said so far you've hit everything with flying colors. Do you remember that conversation and the things he wanted out of you?
Yeah, but like you said, I already checked those off. So now we on to new things. So once you get those things, you got to get those things down packed and keep getting better and getting new things checked off. And the more you can do, the better you can get.
Hey, J-Mo, where do you feel like a more polished receiver that's right now?
You said where do I?
Yeah, where do you feel like a more polished receiver?
My route running. Coach Johnny Moe let me run more routes. I knew I could run more routes, but he's putting me in a position to run more routes. So, I'm getting better with cuts and angles and how to run this route and that route. So, I would say more polish in my route game.
You did talk about that aggression. Terry on today.
Well, that wasn't supposed to go into that next scene, but whatever. Okay. A lot by JMO there. Let me tone this down a little bit. It was kind of hard to hear. A lot by JMO. And in the, the questions or statements in the chat, I saw one about, JMO fielding some tough questions, handling it pretty well, shows, more maturity. And during this, I made some notes before, but I just made all these notes listening to JMO. There's literally 15 lines here.
Yeah, there's gems in there, man.
So he's definitely growing. Okay, there's gems. Let's just go around the board real quick. Riley, what was one thing that you took out of this?
To think about JMO coming off the field and talking to another player, you certainly wouldn't have imagined. Obviously, he was hurt his rookie year, but you could see him being kind of too shy to do that. Right now, you can see there's genuine humility. He knows he's a really, really good football player. He knows he's a good football player, an important player on a very good team, and his role is there. And then he's not worried about finding his role, his snaps. They're going to be there. So now he can focus on helping his teammates have success as well. I love that. He says, I just coach him up a little bit, then he ain't gonna mess up no more. It's like that. That's all you got to do is just show him once, and then now he's not messing up no more. We all good. So it's awesome, man. But you can see how much he loves football. So for me, that would be one. Just the fact that he's leading vocally, I think that matters.
So I didn't hear who it was, but I could take a guess that it was either Isaac Tesla, Meeks, Dominic Lovett. It was a rookie, right? So I just couldn't hear the name. Did anybody catch the name?
No.
If anybody in the chat caught the name, let me know. That was a very bad audio take. It's just one thing I think the Lions are still struggling with. Their PR team seems to do a really good job, but gosh darn it, can we get some audio in camp? You've got millions of dollars of equipment. What's a $500 microphone? My goodness. The one with the big old ear on it that they use in game? Maybe you need one of those. I don't know.
Takes 2 seconds to put a lav mic on them too.
Exactly. Or even just a mic that's pointing right at them. All right, so that's a good take, right? You felt that would be his maturity or leadership? Which box?
Yeah, both. Honestly, I'll go leadership, but he's grown. He's very comfortable. You can still see he's a little bit nervous, but clearly JMO, man, he cares. He wants to win. He gets the picture, I feel like. And he said it too. I don't have personal statistical goals. He just wants to win, man. Just wants to win football games.
Okay, so for you, Eric, what is one of the gems that you took out of this?
Okay, since the very beginning of JMO being a Detroit Lion, what is the biggest thing that Lions fans have knocked him for?
It's always been maturity.
Yes, for being immature. Well, now, not only is he mature, he's matured his body. He looks like a different receiver. He doesn't look like the stick figure that we saw at the end of the year in the playoffs. This kid looks like he's put on some muscle mass. He may not weigh more, but I'm telling you what, look at his neck. He's thicker. He's carrying himself with confidence. Go back and watch one of his early on year 1, year 2 press conferences like that from training camp. Very shy, talk very quiet, very short answers. Now he's letting loose. He's saying good answers. He's helping his teammates. He's taking the new guys and taking them under his wing. That's what other guys did for him, so that's what he's going to do for them. And imagine how much money he's making for himself if he goes out this year and becomes the Detroit Lions' #1 wide receiver. Let's say, heaven forbid, Amon-Ra's out for 3 or 4 games, and we have to rely on JMO and Tesla and a couple of these other guys, and he steps up and he becomes that #1. And let's say, like in the chat, who was it? Somebody said that he's going to have 1,600 yards and 17 touchdowns this year and become a #1. Let's say he really does that. Well, then the Lions won't be able to afford him, right? Because then he's going to want 30+ million a year, and that just makes his trade value that much more for all those people that wanted to trade JMO. So we'll have a really good situation on our hands if something like that happens. And I think Jameson Williams is ready to knock it out of the park this year. I really, really do.
So, I mean, you brought up a good point there, talking about, the potential that the Lions could be priced out. And that was one of my points to this segment was, for Jameson Williams, the statement really is the market value for a true wide receiver #2 is in the neighborhood of 20 to 25 million. And it's creeping up more, but I would say that that's closer to the average for a really good, true wide receiver 2. I'm not just saying the second wide receiver on the team. I'm saying a true, like 1A, 1B, right? The second receiver, 20 to 25 million. Will the Lions pay JMO north of 22 million? That's my first question to you guys in the chat, and obviously the comments later. Do you think that they'll be willing to pay him north of that and keep him in town when he explodes this season? Or will they make him play through his 5th-year option since he's, slated to make just under 16 million in 2026, and all of his money was guaranteed this year after the 5th-year option was picked up? And for me, I think if any of those happen, I think his stats need to be in the top 15 of the league. I honestly feel that way. He has to be a top 15 wide receiver, which means he's operating as a #1 on 31 other teams, roughly. He would be a #1 receiver. How many times have, this offseason, like I said, we discussed the fact that the JMO just needs to take that next step, right, of leadership. And more importantly, for JMO to end up on another team, if that were to happen, as the team's focal point or the #1 receiver, that he would need to develop those qualities as a leader. And so that question would be, how big of a season can JMO have? This is year 4, right? Year 4?
Yep, this is year 4.
Yeah, so year 4, how big of a season can he really have? And we've already seen in the chat, someone thinks he can have 1,600 yards and 17 TDs. I think that's a bit of a reach. But let me go through some of my points here that I wrote down. I'm just going to go through them pretty quickly. He said that we can help them and they help us with good defense, right? So he's given the defense a lot of credit for being good. He said, we got a great defense over there. Calvin Shepard's, dialing it up, but that's helping us get better. And on the other side, we're also really good. We can help the defense get better. So that's a good point that he's recognizing that, obviously iron sharpens iron. Playing hands. So that is something that cornerbacks and safeties do that you're playing hands. So when a receiver's running down the field and then hands come out, right? That's when a corner is set to start putting their hand up, getting ready to slap it out of their hands or, get in between them and the ball. So he's playing hands. And so he went and asked, and I think it was DJ Reed, for some help or some guidance, like what were you seeing? How were you able to make that play? And were you playing hands? Because JMO obviously wants to have late hands. You need extremely late hands in the NFL. That is the last thing that you want to show. Cornerbacks, safeties, they're going to play body, they're going to play eyes, right? It's all about positioning and staying in phase and mirror matching whatever the receiver is going to do. But the last part of making a play is the hands. When the hands come out, the ball's getting close. So it's not like you're running down the field like this, right? It's the last thing to happen. JMO's excited about the entire defense. I mean, that kind of goes with the first statement. He thinks that they're going to be really good. He also mentioned that the defensive line is looking really good, which is allowing the defenders to not have to cover as much in the backfield. His goals, this one was kind of weird, right? He says, I don't set any personal goals. Last year he did. Last year he said, I don't care about how many catches I get. I want to have the most yards and the most TDs in the league. That's exactly what he said. This year, he says he's not setting any personal goals. He just wants to win football games. I think it's a great statement, but I think everybody knows you have to set personal goals. If you don't set any goals in life, where are you going to go? Right? You're probably not going to go very far. Leadership. He says that he was trying to help someone, which I think one of you guys brought up. And then he loves the offense attacking aspect of the game and how John Morton's system seems to be a little bit more attacking, which we know that John Morton loves explosives. And he wants this season, and this offense to be more about explosive plays. How many explosive plays we get in a game, that's yet to be seen. He also said the Jared connection, right? He was asked the question about, Jared Goff and how does he feel his connection is this year? I mean, he was asked 4 times kind of the same question about being comfortable. And he says, obviously, he's way more comfortable this year than he has been ever, right? So he's the most comfortable yet. But he also made one statement that is very true, and I'm glad he recognizes it. Like, we're trash right now. We're nowhere near where we're going to be. As soon as we get closer to the season, we should be cooking, right? Like, that's when we're going to be at our best. It's the evolution, right? It's the trajectory of the team. Intensity. Talking about staying focused on today and not next week and how intensity is high in practice. All these players say that they don't know what the schedule is. I call BS on that. They know what the schedule is. But they know that if Dan Campbell hears them talking about week 2 or 3 and we're not even to the first preseason game, that's probably not going to go over well. The biggest thing I took out of this, honestly, above all else, was how much he loves Scotty Montgomery and how Scotty has already taught him a lot. He said he taught him a ton already. Scotty's had a lot of success so far with the running backs and now transitioning into the wide receiver room. If he's already affecting JMO in that way, I can only imagine how else or how the other guys in the room, are getting better at their craft too. So that's all great stuff. And I know it's kind of hard to hear or whatever, but I mean, if JMO were to repeat everything that he just said, like that's the nuts and bolts of what he's talking about. I hear maturity. I hear more leadership. I hear someone in the 4th year of their career that has gone through a pretty rough road, right? He's had it rough. The first year was rough because of the injury. The next 2 years were rough because of suspensions to start the season, and confidence was low for JMO until the pads come on and it's week 1 and then he's doing his thing. So I'm super excited. Eric, I know you're up against the clock here. So why don't you give us your final take of the day, because then I'm going to roll into Marcus Davenport and then Riley, do you got to go too, or are you good?
Yeah, I've got about 10 minutes or so.
Okay.
All right.
So go ahead, Eric.
My last 30 seconds is this. I think JMO is going to have one heck of a season. I'm not going to put any numbers on it. I think he's going to turn out to be more of a 1A or 1B type of receiver this year. I think he's going to help light the league on fire with the Detroit Lions, and he's going to help them to win a lot of games this year. So we just got to avoid injury, and I think he's going to do that even better this year by having that extra bulk, and he just looks different physically. He looks like a better receiver already, and I can't wait to see what he can do this season. And I'm going to be tuning in after I get off here to watch this part about Marcus Davenport, because I did not get to see that video yet.
All right. Oh, I just killed Eric. Hold on. Go ahead, Eric. Sorry.
And I know Marcus Davenport has been having a pretty good couple of days in camp, so I can't wait to see what's going on with old Marcus Davenport.
It's he's looking good. Thanks, Eric. We'll see you back. You're back tomorrow, right?
Yep,
all right. We'll see you tomorrow, man. Have a good day.
Yep. See ya.
Bradley, your final 30 seconds of the day, or do you want to go through the Marcus Davenport with me?
Yeah, I'll say and go through the Marcus Davenport with you, because I know this is something that you feel pretty strongly about. So let's we can roll through it. But yeah, just the last thing I'll say on the JMO thing is we're talking about it. I know last year when he was going through some issues, and you said, man, you just gotta pull your head out and focus and lock in. The talent's there. If you just said, hey, he's gonna have 1,000-yard season, and then going into this next year, right now, the press conference he just had, that interview he just had. He's saying the things exactly what you'd want to hear. He's saying them how you'd want to hear them. I think JMO is in a really good spot. And obviously, yeah, I'm as excited as any Lions fan out there to see what he does for us this year.
JMO's going to surprise a lot of people this year. And just so everybody understands, too, I mean, how I operate. So I'm probably one of few out there, and I think that all of us do a good job, on this show, this channel. I get critical of the players, right? But it comes from a place of understanding of the game, or at least my experience and understanding of the game and research. Watching this team for 40 plus years, right? Being a loyal Lions member for 27 plus, or 27 actually this year, 26 plus. But I get critical because I could do it from a place of bringing factual analysis into the conversation. And there's not a whole lot of people that are doing that. You hear hardline takes and, people being critical, but it doesn't come up from a place of, this is why, this is what he can do, this is what we expect him to do, but here's the facts to back it up. It's, this guy sucks, Brad Holmes sucks, missed the whole boat on Marcus Davenport, Marcus is always injured, and that's all you hear, right? You hear everyone just bashing the dude. Now, I've been critical on Aiden or JMO or others because I'm expecting more, and I know that they can do more. And now here we are, and we're starting to see that change. And so when JMO can effectively change his game up a little bit to where his leadership and his maturity are in line with his physical ability, oh my God, sky's the limit for the kid. So that's what I'm excited about now. And then so you're going to hear a little bit of a change in the tune from Will Rock in 25, because these guys are finally starting to get to where I was critical of them not being, right? Not being to that level yet. But Marcus Davenport, man, this was a very odd interview, because I think that he's been listening to too much social media. I think that he's been listening to too many people on YouTube that have gotten in his head. This is probably one of the only channels that has supported Marcus Davenport since day one. And tonight, when the video comes out, so this is not the video, but when the video comes out, there'll be some of this involved in it. But when the video comes out of Marcus Davenport, you're going to hear my takes, Davenport's takes, Dan Campbell's takes, and I'm hoping it's going to start to make sense as to why he is so important to this team and what we started to see last season. But let's listen to Marcus Davenport in this very awkward interview, and why I think it is so awkward. But let's just roll.
Physically back on the field, obviously I did last season injured, but you feel back to yourself?
That's gonna be a hard question. That's a day-to-day thing. I don't know. I feel better.
I guess, are you where you hope to be or wanted to be at this point in your return?
I really wanted to be perfect. But, you know, I can say with the work we've been doing, I feel good.
Marcus, the number one question I think for fans in this town is when is the team going to add a big pass rusher outside of Aiden Hutchinson? Are you that answer that people have forgotten about in this town and across football?
Forgotten about. Yeah. What's the word? I mean, honestly, if y'all looking for someone, don't look at me. Just let me be me. I'm gonna go out there and try to stay healthy and do what I can.
What do you mean by that? Don't look at me.
What's the word? I don't know. I don't really like it when people talk about me anymore, good or bad. You know, shoot, I got to hold a chip on my shoulder, and then with every good thing, shoot, the next day, people be coming at me anyway. So if people can leave me alone and let me just work, I'll be happy.
How confident are you about this line's ability to produce this year, with yourself included in that mix?
Very confident. I would say last year, you know, we did very well for a lot of injuries, and this year we're just building off of that.
How has Aiden looked to you so far, just playing opposite of him?
Man, he's that guy. He looks phenomenal. You know, we be trying to talk through like certain movements and plays, and you know, it's hard when he's so, like, I would say, fluid. Where I think I'm more rigid, and you know, sure, you know, we bounce ideas off each other, but then again, we just got to keep developing our own games.
You said yesterday that you're one of the best edge rushers that he's ever worked with. How do you feel like you guys complement each other?
Interesting. I don't know yet. You know, honestly, that's a everyday coming to work and finding out kind of thing. But you know, I try to watch him and get what I can, and then do me.
Marcus, you were a first-round pick. You've had a 9-sack season in the NFL, but in some ways, do you feel forgotten about, and is that part of the chip on your shoulder that you just referenced?
Forgotten about. Man, you know, all these injuries. Shoot, I see a picture posted about me. I repost it, and I get all these comments. I don't even want to say forgotten about. You know, I know you can't really have relevance without, you know, being available. And so that is what that is. Right now, I just got to do my day-to-day thing and let my work speak.
Listen, how deep is your desire to be available for 17 games and hopefully more this season?
I'm trying to be available every day. You know, the games will come. If I take care of my days, then I'll be fine.
Okay.
Bet. Thank you, guys.
It's just Dan gave you a chance to break down the huddle today, and I assume that was a nod to some plays you made in practice today. Did that feel like a reward for a good day's work for you?
I really can't take rewards. If I do, I don't want to say bad things happen, but you know, hey, keep my chip.
Okay, to say that Davenport has a chip on his shoulder would be an understatement. This was almost as awkward as watching Anzalone yesterday. And I'm trying not to talk about Davenport because you can clearly see how it's affected him personally. I will say this, and I don't know Davenport personally, but I do know people pretty well. I feel like I understand psychology pretty well. Like I'm not, you know, psychologist or anything. I don't have a PhD, but it is something that I studied for a long time in sales. It's something that you need to learn because you need to learn people. You need to understand people. Davenport is uncomfortable, to say it lightly. I think he's more introverted, and to watch an introverted football player is awkward in itself. But I think the main thing here is this dude has been damaged. That emotionally damaged thing pops into my head by what fans have said or media has said. And I can think of a couple of channels that have said a lot of crap. And my question would be, what the hell have you done with your life? Right? For you to bash somebody else. What have you done in your life that even comes close to a pissing match with Marcus Davenport? How many of you have made the NFL? I certainly haven't. But when I criticize someone, I want to make sure that I do it the right way as much as there is a right way to do it, and try to have a positive conversation about somebody. And that's what we're going to try to do here. Marcus Davenport has been injured. Yes. Over the last 2 seasons, he has missed, I think, all but 7 games maybe in 23 and 24. But if you go back to his previous years after being taken in the first round by the Saints, he had some very productive seasons. Last year, some of Aiden's best games were with Davenport in the game. And I want, before I go into my thing, I want to wind back before I lose it of what Bill Rowland just said, because, man, I thought that he just hit the nail right on the head. He says, in my professional life, I work with statistics. An important thing that many fans miss is that sample size matters. When someone has 4 to 5 unrelated injuries, that doesn't mean he's injury prone. That is a great statement, because last year, you guys saw the video that I did, or some of you might have. And if you haven't, I'll post it again today. Davenport, in my opinion, was intentionally injured. And he was asked that at one of the very first meetings this year. And he kind of skirted around the subject. I feel he was intentionally injured. Just watching the tape, you could see that he was. I felt that way. Davenport can help this team immensely. Dan Campbell said as much last night, which you'll hear later in my video. But let me run through what he said. He said, we can help. Oh, well, let me back up. I just lost my notes. Sorry. He says that are you going to say something, Riley?
Nope. You're good.
He says that he wants to be perfect. So he's kind of asked, what does he want to do? Like, how good of a season does he want to have? And he says he really wants to be perfect. Whatever perfect is, I mean, that's the mindset of Davenport right now. He was asked about being the opposite of Aiden. Is he the answer to the opposite of Aiden that everyone has forgotten about? And he was, and the word forgotten about, it came out like 3 or 4 times in this interview. Who forgot about Marcus Davenport? I'm sorry, I didn't. Did you forget about him? Let me know in the comments. Did you forget about Davenport? Did you forget about him, Riley?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so how are we forgetting about somebody? And how is that even a question? Yeah. Like, I get so upset with the media. It's like they don't even know how to ask questions that make sense, for one. And 2, you're asking him, are you the answer to opposite of Aiden? Wait till you hear what Dan Campbell said about that answer that I'll highlight later. But his answers, don't look at me, just let me be me. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't want to be this guy opposite of Aiden. He wants to be Marcus Davenport. That's who he is. Let me be me. That's what he's saying. I'm Marcus Davenport. Forget your stupid narrative of we need a guy opposite of Aiden. No, we need another defensive end that plays that position, and his name is Marcus Davenport. That's who he is. I could care less what happened last year. Last year does not matter anymore. I don't care what happened in 23. 23 is not 2025. This is 2025. Whatever happens, happens. And to Dan's point, you can't control injuries. One of the things I always say to people, control what you can control, because everything else is out of your control. He also says, people keep coming at me, and he doesn't like it when people are coming at him. Just let him work. If you want this team to succeed, if you want these players to succeed, they have to be fresh and have sound mind and sound body. But if you're constantly attacking the dude, it's going to get in his head, right? If it gets in his head and now it's, 4th and 5 and the game is on the line to go to the playoffs or not, and he has a flash of, this idiot just said all this stuff about me, he might blow the whole play. And I know that that's not our responsibility. That's his responsibility. And I'm not even saying that would even come up, but that's the idea, right? You get it, that when you bully the shit out of people online, it does affect them. And yes. Davenport, for a lack of another term, has been bullied by a lot of fans.
Yeah.
This channel, never. He's very confident in the defense. He was asked about the defense and where he sees it. He's very confident, and he's echoed the same thing that we've echoed here. Look, we just came out of a season with a ton of injuries, and they're all back. And so he feels like they're going to build upon that. And he also says, when he's asked about Aiden, You know, the Aiden looks phenomenal. He's like, Aiden's the guy. Like, you know, Aiden's a very good football player. But here's the thing. Davenport was also taken in the first round for a reason. When Marcus is playing and he's healthy, he's one of the better defensive ends in the game. He's definitely a top 15 when he's healthy. And I'm not even going to try to drive the narrative of healthy because it's relative to the nature of football. You're going to get hurt. You're going to have injuries. Looking at Marcus Davenport in this video, he looks in way better shape. He looks slimmer. I don't know his weight yet, but he looks way slimmer than where he was when we first brought him in. He looks more chiseled, which that's dangerous to even think about if he's added speed by losing a few pounds. He says, you know, he was asked about being forgotten about again and the relevance without being available. He says, it's all about showing his work. Just let me work. He's all about doing what's right, and he wants to do it the right way, and he wants to be as perfect as possible. Look, leave Davenport alone, man. If you're going to talk this much trash about Davenport, there's many other players you could talk trash about. Why don't we? Right? Why do we got to constantly pick on one player, one position? And I'm not saying we like us. I'm saying others. This team hasn't needed another guy, right? Opposite of Aiden. I don't know where this even really came up. No teams have ever built a team with two defensive ends to start. Right? Those are like the last pieces you add when you have the ability to add them. If you get lucky and you end up with another defensive end that's really good, great, so be it. You got lucky. But that usually doesn't happen. In 30 out of 32 teams, it doesn't exist. So Marcus Davenport, my vision for him this year is I think if he stays on the field, which I'm expecting him to do, the dude's going to crush it. And again, today you're going to find out listening to Dan Campbell what he thinks too. So Riley, what is your take on this?
Yeah, so as you're saying that, I can just hear the critics now say, oh, well, so you're saying if it's 4th and 5 and he's on the field and then he remembers something that somebody ran. Yes, he's a human being. And the problem with the question of, hey, are you that guy next, you know, the answer on the opposite side of Hutch, the problem with that is that it objectifies him. It removes the human element. And I think obviously he cares. Obviously he wants to contribute. But I feel like in that moment, he's just like, man, I just want something to go right for me as a football player, as a professional athlete. I just want something to go right. So I'm not worried about being the answer to your narrative of, are you that guy? Because if you're not, get the hell out of here and show us who is. That's not what it is. Davenport, obviously, he has been putting in the work. And I'm excited, man, because I've never heard an ill word spoken of Davenport on this channel, on air, off air. And why would there be, right? We want the guy to be successful for his personal sake. And then obviously for the sake of the team, it does matter. It does matter. These guys are human beings. They hear stuff, especially in today's day and age. Stuff's tweeted to them, text to them, their family members, their friends, everybody's hearing it. So how they're treated and talked about, you know, some of them are mentally strong and they're not going to let it affect them. And then others, it has the ability to seep through and, you know, and get to them. So, you know, feel how you want to feel. But yeah, I just don't understand why it would be, you know, the guy's still in the league. You'd say, oh, well, he's a first round pick. Yeah, well, he's injury prone. He's a bust. No, he's still in the NFL. And we saw him on the field last year having success, and no reason to think that on the field this year he won't continue to be successful.
Yeah, I think that when he's in the game, he affects the game in a big way. We watched it happen. Yeah, it was a short sample last year because there was only a few games. But it's not like he went to, you know, tackle a quarterback and ends up, you know, busting a wrist or a shoulder or something, you know, in the process of the play. No, his arm was literally grabbed and then chopped. And it ended up ripping the tricep away from the bone. Like, that's not his fault. And you know, honestly, injuries are not their fault anyway, unless it's outside of football and you're driving a mini bike or you're on a boat and you do something stupid, right? Then it's your fault. Or if you're, what was it, Dan Orlovsky tripping over his dog or something like that. I think that happened too. Marcus Davenport, I'm telling you, is one of the better defensive ends in this game. I want to go back to the chat, though, because there was a couple of things in here. One, Trace mentioned that, the behaviors of this fan base, they just need to get in check, right? Some people in this fan base, all they thrive on is negativity. And it's time to just check the attitude at the door. Why can't we just have a season of positivity and try to infect these guys with positivity so that they can go about their day, not having to worry about all of the BS, that's out in the media circus. And then, like Maureen said, being a journalism major, that these reporters are taught to get the story. And I get that. But my point is, what story are you trying to get by asking the dude if you've been forgotten about? You know what I mean? Like that's like me going up to you and saying, did your kid forget about you?
Yeah.
Like you'd be like, what? Why would my kid forget about me?
Yeah.
Like, how would that feel if you someone said that to you, or it's your birthday. Hey, did your wife forget about you?
Yeah.
Because you didn't get you know what I mean? So it's the same thing when you're asking this guy. You should be asking him, hey, how did training go this year? Like, what was your process in the off season? Hey, are you in better shape this year? Physically from last year to this year, how are you feeling? Hey, give us an idea of what the defense looks like so far. How do you see the new defensive coordinator, Calvin Shepard, progressing? No, this was F you. We don't like you. We don't think you're the guy. We feel like you're forgotten about. And to go back to the chat, it was, who said it? I think it was Michael Williams or Marcus Newsom. Someone in there said, every time that here it is, William Thomason says, how do people forget about him? Easy. Every time he hears draft an edge or go get Z Smith, that's what he's saying.
That's true.
So every time you bring, look, it doesn't mean that we can't have other options on the team. It doesn't mean that we can't go, draft an edge or, bring Zadarius Smith back. No, but if you're saying that that's the only way that this team is going to be successful is to get those guys and not worry about Marcus Davenport, I would say that that's wrong. It's false. I'm probably one of the only people that said Davenport was going to be back. Y'all thought I was nuts. Everyone thought I was nuts. I don't know about everybody on this channel, but I think Eric agreed, and I don't know if you were in that day, Riley, but I said that he's coming back. He's coming back with an incentive-laden contract, and I couldn't believe the hatred I got. But there he is. He's back, and he's working his ass off.
He still has a seat at the table.
So I hope that this is like, gosh, who said it? Was it Meek Robertson? Who said it was a year of the reckoning? Who was that? Was it a Meek?
Sounds like something a Meek would say, but I could think of a lot of different players on the roster that would say that, but somebody in the chat might tell us. But yeah, that is so true, man. It's the question, I don't know who asked it, but it's basically being like, they're looking at him kind of confused, like, whoa, what? You're still here? The hell are you doing here, man? Like, so what are you going to do different this year to not suck, dude? Like, that's basically how the question came across.
Yeah, I love it. Jack2125 says, it's time for Davenport to say, I'm only here so I don't get fined. Yeah, I mean, he looks uncomfortable, in every time I've ever seen him at a press conference. I just don't think he digs that, and yeah, he's there to answer some questions. I would hope the Lions would do a better job of making sure that he can get in his NFL media time and just get out, just stay off, out of the radar and just go to work like he has been. I want Davenport to prove all of these doubters wrong this season. It's time for Davenport to win. And he'll still get hate. But anyway, let's get your final 30 of the day. Let's get out of here. I know you got to go.
Yeah, we got a super chat from Michael Garrity. Just want to make sure that you saw that. But yeah, man, I'm excited, man. It's funny. We go from, Jameson Williams. It's all exciting and it's all good. There's so many positive things. But that's just what we're doing. And to be completely honest, Will can be critical at times, but I've never felt like it's not fair. It's just looking at things from both sides. That's what we try to do on the channel. So if you are watching this after it's not live, hey, as you're watching, if you hear a comment that you strongly agree with, that you strongly disagree with, timestamp it. Ask us questions. We'll go through and find them and be happy to try to answer those. Of course, with the mailbag section that Will does every week as well. But appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Everybody go have a great Wednesday as we go into the 24th tomorrow, holiday.
Oh, man. So mailbag is pretty full, but keep sending them in because the more and more we get, the more and more segments I can do. I waited a long time to do that one the other day, and I only got through half of them, and it's already filling up again. So mailbag at rockdown.com. We'll get into the Motor City mailbag. Gripes and hype is what we're calling it this year. Gripes and hype. What are your gripes? What is your hype for the season? I think that we get plenty of both. And, man, my final 30 of the day from what I've learned from this defense is they are salty. This team is ready. They want to get back. It is a year of reckoning. I totally agree with that statement. This team wants more. They believe in themselves, and they know that, like, this is it. This is not a team that is going to be able to last forever. It's not. It's not going to. As much as Lions fans are thinking of next year, and and we talk about it too. How are we going to keep all these players? Look, the answer is we're not going to. I'm sorry. This is it, and you've heard it from just about every single player on this team. The time of saying that this was just enough is over. We are not a perennial playoff team, and that's it. It's time to go win and to bring it all and to walk it down Brush Street, right? And I believe in that. So that's my final 30 of the day, man. Leave Davenport alone. Let him do his work. Unfortunately, I'm doing a video about you today, buddy, but it's coming out of a place of love and appreciation and admiration for what you are, what you have been, and the work that you've put in this offseason to give this team a chance. Whether we get Z back or not, it doesn't matter. We have the guys on this squad to do the job. It's time to win a Super Bowl in 2025. We'll see you guys later on tonight for the Rocked On Off the Cuff podcast, midweek mailbag edition. Thank you, Riley. Thank you, Eric. Everybody have a wonderful day. Go Detroit Lions.
See ya.